Hello, hello.
Hi, Felicia's.
We're back.
Are we?
Welcome to a new episode of The Missing Component.
The missing component. And the germ here.
He's only saying that because I was a little sick recently.
A little?
We had to take a little bit of a pause because I was sick.
She was in her deathbed.
A little, kind of, yeah, a little bit. So I apologize for being, we apologize for being just a little bit late. It's okay. Shit's going to happen, right? Anyway, yes, welcome to a new episode. We're glad to be here, excited to be here. How are you feeling today?
I feel like I'm a new person.
As you should.
You're so shady for being sick.
I feel better. Thank you for asking.
You see, I told her not to keep sucking the wrong,
No, that's not what happened. Whoa. Anyway, so yeah, we're here. This is gonna be a new episode. Today's topic is dating while on your healing journey. Right?
Bitch, why are you looking at me like that?
Anyway,
I could be a hoe if I want in my jelly.
Yeah, we don't slut shame. Yeah, tell the world how you're a hoe.
I'm not a hoe. I'm just a free spirit, I like to say.
Así dicen todas las putas. Anyway, let's get into it.
So, because you're known in Staten Island.
Am I?
No, seriously. So talking about this topic, what do you consider dating?
What do I consider dating? Dating is a little more casual than just straight up like in a relationship, right? I think when you're dating, you're like casually meeting up for like a coffee, for dinner and a movie,
more than a coffee,
or like a museum,
more than a museum.
That's a date, something like that. And if you guys end up,
not in the gay world, honey,
gay or straight, if on a date and doing this, but you guys also end up being intimate, that's still considered a date. At least I think that's what I consider dating, casual dating. Unless the conversation comes up with you and the person about like the status or the exact like what it should be in terms of like, like you're casually dating other people too, like I would prefer this would be exclusive dating, things like that. Or what do you think? What's your take on dating?
I don't know, because I really don't date people. I have my little.
We know we established you're a whore.
I have my little friendships, and it's not because I'm not being sexually active with everyone. Like Miss Thing over here, that's why she got sick. So I do agree. Dating doesn't necessarily mean monogamy, and doesn't necessarily mean like you're exclusive with one another. I think when it comes to dating in New York, like we've talked about it, it's nearly impossible because everyone just it's looking for the next beautiful thing or the next better thing, which at the end of the day, that's sad. It
is, yeah. It is sad because you're just looking for like, oh, well, this person's kind of missing this. Let me go to the next. Like, not really giving yourself or that person a real chance to see what kind of connection can be, what kind of vibe can be. Because sometimes you never know, like somebody who you went on a first casual date with, and then you dismiss because you're like, oh, I'm gonna go look at my other options. Like you never know, like you could have missed out on like something real.
I think like anything in life is a journey. Getting to know a person is a journey. Healing in the sense of spirituality or emotional, or healing from trauma, or or anything is a journey. So you have to ride the wave. Life itself is a journey.
Mm.
So I think nowadays we're so overwhelmed with so much that life is giving us
Mm.
that dating hasn't is not as exclusive as what it used I think what it used to be. I am not that much older, so I don't know. Like, I grew up with the internet, like, but I with the little bit that I see with older folk, that are like in their late 40s, maybe in their early 50s, closer to your age than my age. So, like, I feel like they were open to riding that wave, or like walking that journey with a person, because I think there wasn't such access to what fast dating is
Hmm.
right now in
Yeah.
present time.
Yeah, it was very dating. I will assume I'm not that old. I will assume dating was definitely much different before the internet.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Second question.
Mm. Go ahead.
What do you consider what do you think of? What's the first thing that come out on top of your head when somebody says, "I'm in my healing journey"?
There are some people who just use that phrase as clout, you know?
Loosely,
Yeah, and like healing is something that is it's
personal.
very personal. It is a tough personal journey if you truly are on it. I personally don't think, I can always be wrong. I don't personally think somebody who truly is on their healing journey will actually be somebody who like just freely announces it. Because when you're on your healing journey, it's tough. It is a roller coaster. It
Of
is a
emotions.
thunderstorm of emotions, of feelings, of past experiences that sometimes you really are trying to work through. And like sometimes it's not something, not that you're not proud of it, but like you don't want people sometimes to maybe know that that's what you're going through, you know. I definitely feel like for me, like I've been on a healing journey for the past few years. Anybody who knows me, I still like get semi annoyed quickly. However, I don't. There's a big difference with my reactions.
Yeah.
There's a big difference from now
Let me tell you
and
how you have come a long way,
oh.
because you didn't have as much patience when I first met you, like, at all. Like,
Yeah.
and I think now, I think I've helped her bring out a little more patience, because it's like, I feel like there's, how would I put this? There's a lot of people that we're so, like, so involved with ourselves, and it's not a narcissistic thing. Sometimes we see the world in our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't pay attention to the exterior a lot, or we don't see the exterior. So that's where, I think patience and being empathic to others come. It's very important, where it's very important to, like, notice things like that, because not everyone's growth is different.
Mm.
Everyone's path is different. So when we don't have patience,
Yeah.
and we know that person triggers us, we might come out aggressive or dismissive, or whatever you want to
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes you'll come
feel.
off too strong, but sometimes I feel like and you used a word that I identify with a lot. I'm very empathic of people's feelings. I'm also, like I said before, like I'm somebody who feels things deeply. So sometimes like when I'm triggered or like I get annoyed easily, it's because I'm feeling a certain type of way deeply. And I like some people just feel things on a deeper level than others. And I'm one of those people, and that's why, growing up, my reaction to certain things was definitely like strong, bad.
I don't think necessarily it was bad. I think it was
I could have expressed myself or let it out. I could have channeled it differently so that the party that I'm like expressing to truly understands versus it being overshadowed by my reaction. Because that's something I've been told for years. Like your point, you make a point, but it's the way you make your point that is the problem. And it's something that definitely like I've gotten much better at it over the last like 2 3 years.
you know what it is?
What?
People that care that people that we care so much of others tend to feel very strong, and tend to have such strong emotions that like we we come off aggressive,
Mm-hmm.
come off like disrespectful, whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of people do mean good. We
Mm-hmm.
just don't know. Everybody has a different love language and different like com,
Communication.
different communication. So
Some people also take things in differently. Because
yeah.
sometimes, like, let's say, and it's something that you can attest to, that you can say, yeah, like, I'm definitely that friend. Like, I'm that friend that will tell you the truth and give you the truth. And sometimes I may be giving it to you too harshly, but it's a truth that sometimes that your real friends should be giving you. You know what I'm saying? And then, but there are people who sometimes like they'll take it as an attack, even though you shouldn't. You have to know the difference with the message that's being told versus somebody that's trying to use truth and straightforwardness, using that,
Mask it.
trying to mask their malice or bad intentions behind it. Because there are people who are malicious and they'll express themselves and then hide it with, but I'm just being honest. I'm saying what everybody else is thinking. So sometimes you do have to know the difference.
Yeah,
You
because
know?
you could say whatever you have to say, but also you have to
Absolutely.
feel and have some feelings towards what the other person is going through, or what the other person is really trying to like um trying
Also
to
trying,
overcome, or trying
yeah.
to like
Mm-hmm.
so my third question would be, should you date while you're on your healing journey?
That's a good question. Should you really be dating while on your healing journey? I guess it depends on what stage of healing you might be on. Um, if you know, if you're really self aware and you know that you are healing and it's kind of like fresh, like, like, oh, I have to fix these things about myself, and you're trying to work through your feelings, you're trying to work through your triggers. In the beginning stages, I don't think it's a good idea to be freshly dating when you're in the beginning stages of your healing journey, because being that you don't know, people that like the people who you're trying to date, you don't know them. So sometimes you don't know their communications, you don't know
The way of
their
communicating, the
yeah,
way
like,
of
so you might sometimes take something the wrong way, you might sometimes get triggered easily, and that's not their fault. That might be your own shit that you got to work through. Because sometimes, yeah, like, and I think everybody can attest to this, like, you'll be dating somebody, and the deeper you get into it and the more intimate, and not in terms of physical intimacy, but like emotional intimacy, the more deep into that you get, you really see how unhealed a lot of individuals are. And that's what leads to toxic relationships and bad breakups and ill feelings, when that could have all been avoided had the person who's still healing should have known, I should not be dating. But if you're kind of fresh in the dating pool, and you do come across somebody who's like, right now I don't think it's the right time for me to date. Just emotionally, I'm not okay. I don't think I'll make the right boyfriend. Those are the people you gotta respect, because at least they're giving it to you up front.
I think for me, there's a few things that I consider while talking to someone or getting to know someone in a friendship level, whatever level. When I'm getting to know someone, I usually repeat what they're saying just so I'm able to understand. I think that's one of the biggest ways I learn and to understand another person. I think a lot of people think that communicating is just like speaking and letting things know, but you need to also be in the other side of the spectrum where you need to you need to let that person grasp the information. So it's okay for the other person who is the one that you're talking to, the one that's in the receiving end. It's okay for them to ask questions or repeat what you're saying so you guys are on the same page, right? I think that's when it comes to communications, we forget that part where it's just like repeating and actually asking questions. And that's where patience comes in because that's where people are just like you realize you're like not everybody learns the
Yeah,
same, not
yeah.
everybody understands the same, even though we're both are Mexican, maybe we weren't raised the same.
Yeah.
That's where I guess it
It.
collides.
Mhm.
Also,
You know what's funny? Before it's funny because like in the past few years, anytime I get to know somebody, and obviously some of the first, like the very first questions you ask one another when you're talking to somebody new is, what do you look for? That is something I always said to them. I need somebody who's patient. I need somebody who's patient because sometimes, because of the way I take things in and the way I feel things, sometimes, not that I'll get triggered, but sometimes like I will, what's the word? Not that I will act crazy, but that I will have a moment and so I just like, it's not the other person's
for
fault. It's not their place. But
the
sometimes just let me have my moment.
and I think when that happens, if the person is not secure or if the person is not like ready
To
for
handle
that
it.
to handle that type of and give that type of patience, I
Yeah.
think that's where you click and you're like, fuck, maybe this person is not the right one.
Yeah.
Like for me, dating, I for me, I think a healing journey will always be it will be for the rest of my life. No matter what, I'm always gonna have to heal from something, from
Mm,
either trauma, drama, from something. I'm gonna have to
mm-hmm.
heal. So I like to there was a therapist that I used to talk to, and he was like, "Well, Nelson, do you really want to heal all the time, or do you just want to like sometimes just chill and lay back? Because it's beautiful to heal, but
You gotta
we as
also enjoy life.
we
You
also
gotta
have to
enjoy
enjoy
yourself.
life and get to know what are our new triggers and get to see what aspects of our life we have heal from because we make better decisions in certain circumstances that life throws at you.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I do understand that healing will be the rest of my life, I do sometimes just want to chill and lay back and be like, okay, at least I'm not gonna make the same. Now I know what I need to work on and like what what type of person I guess I don't want in my life because of past traumas or past relationships or past whatever.
I think it's a very tricky,
Topic.
very no, it's a very tricky thing, and it's very open to interpretation of should you be dating while on your healing journey. Again, depending on the type of, like, what stage you know that you're at, and I guess like when you're truly truly getting to know someone, you communicate these things, right? Like, look, so this is kind of what I've been going through, and that person can either be open and willing to hear you out, because sometimes in a real relationship, you do have to take the good and the bad. And like it's hard work. It's hard work to make a relationship work when you know that somebody is still working through some shit that has nothing to do with you or nothing to do with a relationship. You have to be you have to see if you yourself you're willing to fight your partner's demons with him or her, and help them understand that I am your safe space. Whatever you're going through, I'm here with you. If you got to go through it alone in your head, that's fine, but I'm here for you.
I think that's I think that's why I feel like I haven't I do now. I after going to therapy, like now I know that it's important for me to, like you said, communicate, like say, like if I'm meeting someone, what are my intentions with that person. And for me, once I meet somebody, I'm off the bat, I'm either like, I'm not looking to date, or whatever the case is, because sometimes, a fuck is a fuck. Good dick is good dick. But
Inappropriate.
girl,
Mm-hmm.
come on, I'm an adult. Um, but I think that's where I went wrong when it comes to, in my past, when it came to um hanging out with either friends or meeting with people, or like having some type of connection with someone. I think not communicating my emotions or my intentions, that's where I felt like I wasn't receiving what I expected. And also at the same time, I don't go in with expectations no more, because a lot of people like to do the talk but don't like to do the walk. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, I got I'm trying to get my shit together in life, like completely, like,
Period.
and it's just like, for to have someone that is not gonna, like, que no va a aportar nada a mi vida. O sea,
Mm-hmm.
¿para qué estás?
Yeah. Yeah. You wanna know? It's funny. I was having this conversation with a friend not too long ago that I read online. Is that sometimes, like, I forgot how it was worded, but basically the gist of it was that um, sex is a form of healing, and I do believe that. I do believe that. Let me explain.
The shake
I
weight.
do believe that because
The shake weight. Continue.
so anyway, I do believe that because sometimes, like, obviously when you're, whether it be casual sex or with your intimate partner or with a friend with benefits, like, and obviously when you're doing that, the deed, you're releasing, and sometimes having a good release, you're releasing sometimes some toxic vibes you might have inside. You might help yourself, um truly, like, when you let it out physically in your mind might clear up after that. I do believe that sometimes when I read it, I really liked it when I read it. It was a little while ago, so I can't remember word for word. But basically, like, sometimes the person you're having sex with is a healer, so they're taking away some of, like, maybe ill vibes you have, bad vibes, negative shit you might have internally. You're letting it out,
Taking
and
away.
then the healer sometimes they might not be taking it in. Like, they're helping you release it. They're not necessarily taking it in.
But if you're not mentally ready for that, you can
You're
end
absolutely
up
right.
like, if you're gonna talk about energies, like, I do agree. But also, like, you got to be careful who you lay with, because you know you might be the comfort or the healing for that person, but then that person is a hot fucking mess. For me not to say demonic, but that person that person has some type of energy that's going to transfer over to you, because sex is a connection, like you said.
Yeah.
So it's
It's a
like
transfer of energies
it's a transfer
sometimes.
of energy. So for me, I do agree to disagree with what you're saying. I do agree that sex it's a release, but for me, soy tan pendejo para el amor that for me, like I refuse to give.
Pendejo en total, but anyway. You were saying.
Let me educate the little girl over here. No, for me, like I used to think that way as well. Like I was like, oh, but there will be that person will be a release for me. But now I just don't want. I don't want to, like, lately
Like
within
you're
like
afraid to take in their bad energies.
not even afraid. I just don't want to be bothered because one, motherfuckers are dirty nowadays. They lay pipe or they lay with anything that has
We're
a
talking about
fucking
spirituality
hole.
and what sex has to do with it. We're
So
not talking about the rest.
so it's just like I am more worried when I
Mhm.
lay with somebody. Now I'm more worried of like what I'm gonna fucking catch, when it comes to sexual transmitted infections. And two, it's just like, what if that fucking person really
Mhm.
is going through a really tough situation? They just need me for whatever the case is, and now I have their depression. Now I have their anxiety. Now I have their anger. Now I
Mhm.
have all these things.
Yeah, like I said, it's a transfer of energy. So yeah, sometimes you might end up taking it in unwillingly. You are right. I do agree with that. Um, so it's up to you personally to know what you're getting yourself into. So like you said, if you personally are not, if that's not something you're open to now because of where you are in your healing journey, that's okay too. That is totally okay too. The people who are still healing or are on different levels of healing than you, then they got to figure that out on their own. You know what I mean? Like, but again, that was what I read online, that sex sometimes is spiritual and it's healing sometimes. And I liked it because I did agree with that.
Because you're a whore.
No.
The next question, whore.
Mhm.
When do you realize you're done healing, or do you take breaks in between, like I was just talking about,
Mhm.
or are you ever done healing?
I think you said this to yourself, like you'll be healing for the rest of your life. I don't think anybody realizes when they're done healing because the way life is, you're going to go through some shit here and there for the rest of your life. So you're never done healing. Can you take breaks? Sure, absolutely. You should because life should not be about healing and life should not just be about staying strong. You should be living life to have fun. You should be loving the life you live. You should be making the best of it. And, like, again, depending on where you are in your healing journey, your spiritual journey, like, there are people that, like me, like, where I'm at, where I have been at, is that I feel if you're adding a little bit too much drama or you're just coming around me with toxic behavior, you're clipped, you're cut. Like you said before, I'm very quick with because I'm so like it sounds, I don't know, it feels weird to say, but I feel like in that sense I'm so healed that I don't want to deal with that type of shit. So same thing with dating. Like, let me give you some tea. And somebody, the topic, what I'm talking about, that person might watch. But not too long ago, I had somebody um follow me on Instagram. Bring it down, girl. Bring it down. I had somebody follow me on Instagram, and then he started chatting me up, and then we were talking, and I guess I said the wrong thing to him, and then he like totally unfollowed me and took me off. And I was like, oh, okay, if that's where we're at. And then a day later, he followed me again and started writing to me again. And I've been kind of dry with him, and as like slightly as interested as I was, where I'm at, I'm like, if See that little kid behavior, that stupid ass behavior. You can
Y
stay
tú
over
de
there.
pendeja que le contestaste, no le hubieras contestado. You should have, after he wrote back to you, you should have just like, you should have like unfollow him and blocked him.
I just told you he followed me and then wrote me. I didn't say I followed him back
So
because his thing says follow back.
just leave him on red. Because you know, at the end of the day, like, ew, where do you
Sometimes,
do that at?
sometimes when you're so far into your healing journey, like yeah, you're open to dating, but at the same time, you're so like you don't. There are just things that you're just not gonna put up with. Little things like that. Like I was like, oh wow, no. Like for me, and I think you know this, and there are people who are watching me who know me well. Like I don't, I still don't have the patience, but now it's for the right reasons. So when I see little kid behavior or toxic behavior or unhealed behavior that I'm not willing to partake in anymore, that's it.
You know, I was talking to an elder to to an older person. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I aside from doing my own therapy and having my own therapist, like I go to like communal and group therapy sometimes, just to insight on other people's traumas, and not to judge, just I like community. I've always been a person for the community,
Mm-hmm.
so I went to a few sessions, and um this question, the whole healing journey and dating, and through your healing journey, came up. It was like about a month ago that came up.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this older lady that she's probably like 61 now, Puerto Rican lady. And I asked her about the same topic, and she told me, she's like, honey, when you're going through your spiritual journey or your healing journey, life is so lonely, because
Yeah,
you realize, at
yeah.
one point you realize how independent you are and what are your standards in life, that it's going to be so hard for you to put up with other people's shit. And people that do date while they're doing their healing, spiritual or healing journey, sometimes they know that they have to kind of like mentally prepare themselves and be like, okay, this person is temporary, because everything is temporary in life, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So I think that's one thing that kind of like really, it made me realize that, I'll be fine if I'm single for the
Absolutely,
rest of my life,
absolutely.
you know. And it's not
Since
because I don't trust people, or I don't trust men, or I don't. It's more like I trust and I love myself so much now that I just don't. I don't want to be bothered, and I've had other guys that are trying to like talk to me now or date me or whatever the case is,
mm-hmm.
and they see that I have my own apartment, and and I come home to my own place. That is just
Mm-hmm.
like, to me, I look at them and I'm like, what's your intention?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want? What do you want? What are you
Mm-hmm.
gonna add to my life that is gonna be better? Um. So
I read
yeah.
this quote and it said, yeah, like sometimes solidarity is a dangerous thing because once you're so comfortable with it, you realize how peaceful it is. Like you don't want to deal. Like since my last real real relationship, excuse me,
Ships.
that's when no, it was the last person, bitch. That's when I was like, I don't want to do this again. Like I like, I've been saying that for like as long as I've been single. Technically, it's been like maybe 2 years now. Um, I really am not interested to deal with this again. I'm not interested to deal with somebody else's unhealed bullshit. I'm sorry to call it that, but I'm just not.
And
I
it's,
don't got the
you know
patience.
what's crazy? Like, cause sometimes we like, I've met these guys that have. It looks like in the exterior, it looks like they have their shit together. They might have a career. They might have a nice car. They might often travel. have, go to church or whatever religion or spirituality, they have all this together. But then when you date them, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, people these days are really good at putting up a facade.
Mhm.
People these days are really good at not showing their true colors. And it's really sad and it's disgusting because you shouldn't like one thing is to keep your spiritual healing and journey to yourself. And then another is to lie to yourself that when you let somebody in, you lash out or you show an entirely different person. That's not healthy. That's not healthy.
You know, um, I think I'm right now. I'm also dealing with people. I don't know. I really don't want to date, nor I'm like date as in like exclusively date, or I prefer more like a person, a consistent person that I will go to, and or just a person to hang out with. But I think it's impossible in New York City. So I'm about to go to my little pueblo and find me a little, you know a little construction worker. No, but it's just
The healing journey is truly, in my opinion, because of where I'm at, it's a beautiful and magical thing.
magical.
Once you really are so used to being alone, like you're again, even if there are guys who try to like kind of like talk to you, like you're just so quick to be like, I'm not dealing with that because of maybe something they said or something they showed.
Talking about, I don't want to talk about too much about dating when it comes to like healing journey because it's very personal. I think for me, I see Nelson from 2008, Nelson from 2017, Nelson from 2020 to Nelson to 20 now present time 2025. Um, and wow, I'm so glad, because when I first started going to the center, back in 2008, 2007, and I was going to the youth center, a lot of young gay boys were like dating. They will have a boyfriend every 2 weeks, every month, a brand new boyfriend, and
Mm-hmm.
they were, no, I'm not saying that they were laying around. I'm just, they were dating, and we were like 17 and 16. And I had just talked to a person I grew up with, and we were just talking and kind of like reminiscing on back in the day. And I was never really the type that I will be dating so much.
Mm-hmm.
I've I think that I like to say that I had so much fun in my 20s. Now that I look back at it, I was like, I had so much fun in my 20s and like maybe my 30 and 31st birthday as well. Like the first, I'll say from 18 to 30 or 31, like I did. I did so much fucking shit that I'm just like, damn,
Horse shit. Mm-hmm.
my name is not Jesus.
Girl,
But
goodbye.
no, I think I was able to really explore myself in every single way,
Mm-hmm.
emotionally, with my gender expression, with like just everything. And I think a healing journeys and a spiritual journey, that's the consistency of, not necessarily always dating. I think it's just exploring the spectrum in your life, and trying not to tie yourself and limit yourself from living your
Yeah,
life and actually having
it's
fun.
it's definitely very important that in your young 20s, in your teens even, to explore, to get to know yourself,
Hmm.
who you really are, especially as a young, if you're a young queer, gay, or what have you. It's very, very important to know who you are. So yeah, like you're gonna go and
Without
explore.
limitations.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. I'm all for it, whether you're gay or straight. Like after you get out of high school, like get to know yourself, you're the real you. Because sometimes in your young teens, sometimes you are what your family wants you to be.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not letting you be you when you're living for somebody else, whether that be people in your family or your friend groups, schools, what have you. It is it's absolutely very important to find yourself. Sometimes like like where I work, I do meet a lot of younger kids. I say kids like they're in their early 20s who are in college, and in all honesty, like when I see
Some not that
them
smart, some smarter than others.
and I see like there's a big difference when I see their personalities versus ours, because I can see that they were raised right, because they're very happy individuals. You know what I mean? So it does make me happy to see that their families raised them right, and you can tell their families allowed them to be themselves, and maybe even taught them to not care about the judgments of the world. Just be you.
So it was hard in the dark ages while when you were growing up, right?
Anyway, but yeah, these are people that, yeah, like I see at work, and I see how like the type of like the way they express themselves, the way they are themselves, gay or straight, whether they're in college or just starting this job, like to see them versus how we were, like we, growing up, like we had shit that we should not have had to deal with, but we ended up dealing with. And then I see these kids, and I'm like, I can see that you don't have this, and that makes me happy.
I think the new generation of like 20-year-olds and like late teenagers like 17, 18, 19, like they have it real good. I think they're just going
Yeah, because
through.
their parents are people who are about our age, and they know, and their parents might be people who also went through their own shit growing up in their households, in the streets, in school, what have you. So they made sure their kids did
I
not feel any of that. And there are people who are watching me who probably went to school with me, high school, college, or whatever. And I do see how some of you do a good job with your kids. I see how happy they are. I see how they express themselves. I see how you let your kids be themselves, whether they're gay or straight or what have you. You let your kids be themselves, but I know you teach them absolutely like the sky's the limit, but be careful.
There's limitations in my
Yeah.
book.
So shout out to the people who are about our age or a little older and let their kids freely be themselves, freely express themselves. And yeah, like you guys are creating a generation that is not dealing with trauma, because that's like our too many people in our generation.
Most likely, most likely that generation, um, and I think that generation, our generation, what helped is we grew up with the internet, so we had to basically open our mind a lot more, regardless if we wanted to or not, because just everything was just put on a phone, and it's easy access to like learn.
Mm-hmm.
I think our parents' generation and older, they grew up, they didn't have access to internet, and they didn't have access to all these things that we have access to now, which is mental health, and all these
Therapy
all
and
these other ideals, to kind of like help you cope with life. So i I cannot say that my parents and their parents didn't do a good job, but they did enough with what they
oh, absolutely,
with
with
what
what they
they
could.
had and
Mm-hmm.
what they could.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Absolutely.
so I think that I don't know. It's just I don't want to take that away from them either.
I agree.
I don't want to
1,000%
take
agree.
away from that,
A
because
thousand
if
percent
if
agree.
we take away from like their mistakes or whatever the case is, it's just like we wouldn't.
We wouldn't be us.
Mhm.
I agree with that.
You
One
wouldn't
hundred
be a
percent.
dumb bitch like you are.
and you wouldn't be a raggedy fucking hood rat.
I like you in purple.
This is pinkish, colorblind bitch. Anyway, but yeah, so in today's topic, this should you be dating while on your healing journey? I think it does depend on where you are on your personal healing, on your personal spiritual journey. Can you, should you? Again, it depends, but be open about it. And you have to be aware of what is something that you should allow yourself to be triggered by or not be triggered by. Some things are on you. They are not on the people that you are dating. You can maybe express to them where you are, and it's up to them to be willing to be patient enough and understanding enough, because again, like when you're in a relationship, it's hard work. So sometimes, like even if you are in a relationship and you know that your partner is healing, like it's like you're healing together. So being in a relationship, though, it really is the hard work. Being that, for me, like my last relationship was something like that, like some, with somebody who was still healing and working through their own shit. Like I speak from experience, and it was something that I tried my best to, with that person, I tried my best to let them know this is a safe space. I'm with it. I'm with you. And again, it depends on the partner if they're willing to channel that the right way, because then it's to a point of like it being harmful, it being negative, things like that.
You know what I love? I love now that I have my own space. I love kicking motherfuckers out.
So you agree? So she's been saying she's a hoe.
I'm not saying I'm a hoe. I'm just saying.
So once you're done,
no,
get up and go.
Not get up and go, but like I mean, if you're having a good time, not out the sex. I'm talking about like just having a good time, just hanging out with me and whatever. Like I want you to stay, and I want you to be comfortable in my house. But once you start with your shit, I'm like, you gotta get the fuck
once you start with your shit,
you gotta get the fuck out. Because I'm not your mama. I'm not your daddy. I ain't your granny. I ain't your grandfather.
You have to know you have to know when to put a stop to it. You have to know. Go. And once you are at a certain point in your healing journey, putting a stop to shit, it comes so easily.
It comes bullshit.
So it just comes so naturally. It's like breathing. You're like, oh God, no, you can go.
Or when I see certain people, I'm just like, I could tell you had no fucking cool. Like you have like they didn't teach you manners at home. Like I'm just like, and it's funny because I had dealt with certain people, and I'm just like, you know what I hate when they come into your house and they know that your apartment is clean. And then they make up, and then they want to do a mess and not clean up after themselves. Like I don't mind you using a cup, and you don't have to wash it.
Put it in the sink.
Put it in the fucking sink. Yeah. Like I don't mind you using the bathroom, but when you took a number 2 and you splatter all over my fucking toilet, wipe it down. I have Clorox wipes. I have the toilet brush. Well, one thing that gets me when there's water stains in the mirror. I hate water stains in the mirror. That's one thing. And it's just like, girl, just ask. I'll give you the products to clean.
Well, anyway.
Well, with that said,
of that said,
follow me at Instagram, Nellyvicious. On Facebook is Nelly Ba, I think. On TikTok is the Nellyvicious. And follow this raggedy bitch too.
The
you see? She trying to be me.
No, you're trying to be me. PeanutTheWicked on all platforms, Instagram, TikTok. Follow our podcast pages. We're also on Instagram and TikTok. Follow us. We do this. Definitely, we do this because we're having fun, but we also do this for you guys. There are things that maybe that should definitely be talked about. That should definitely be said, and that's why we do it. We do it so that you guys can take in what we're saying and have fun with us while we're doing this. Have fun with us. And again, as always, I thank all of you for all the support, all the messages, all the likes. Yeah, like keep sharing us. Honestly, keep sharing us. Tell all your friends about us. We're here because again, we are on a mission with who we have in the most powerful office in the country right now. We are on a mission. We are, and I said it before, we are exactly what that administration doesn't like, and that makes it more fun to be here.
And remember, put yourself first, love your first self, and kick a bitch out if you don't want to be tolerating that bitch anymore. You know, don't hold your heart, honey, because you know at the end of the day, self love should be number one.
It's the most powerful thing.
And with that
said, thank you for joining us.
Whore.
Bye. Bye.